Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach. I'm going to curse it because I'm going to say this is going to be shorter than usual, but we'll see. I went through these issues with rocks and I finally figured out what the problem was. It's an interesting one. It actually led to a couple of what I thought were interesting insights into how things work and where they're going to go potentially in C#. So the biggest way, hardest, most difficult way to show this, I don't know how you want to call it, but let me go into tests. And which one is the one that runs forever? Let's sort it by duration. Yeah. Oh, that doesn't help. Instruction. Which one has like this one? Oh, no. No. Where are you? Rock assembly test. Yeah, it was on the right path. Okay, so this one. Okay. So this one's going to pass now, but do I have... Oh, it doesn't remember that I opened it there. Maybe I can get it from this. Maybe it's still smart enough that this will work. Let's see. Open. Nope, doesn't work. It will, though, when I run the test in the debugger. Okay? Which reminds me I need to switch this over to being built in release mode because I'm going to push a package up. This is technically a bug, so I didn't put it in at 4.2 release. I'm going to put it in a 4.1.1 release. Okay. But yeah, nullable reference types. Gotta love them. Okay. So this should go off and build stuff. Once it takes forever to do what it needs to do. All right, now that should actually exist. Okay. So here's the problem. Well, there's two problems. One of them is valid. Because you notice equals here is actually emitting an allow null. This is, I don't know if I can actually describe this correctly. But there are cases, especially with generics, that you cannot put like T question mark on a generic definition or like that because it's been defined a certain way. So the problem becomes is that you cannot express it the way you want it to. So what you end up doing is you put these allow null. This is saying that yes, even though this is technically not null, there are cases where we might want it to be null, but we can't express it that way. That's, I think, the way that this is coming across as. Okay. Well, then I'm passing into is valid, where the argument was not null, something that could possibly be null. The compiler picks it up and yelled at me. Okay. So one of the first things I did, let's stop this for now. If I go to, what is that? Argument expectation is oh, for God's sakes. What am I doing? Argument that one. Yeah. So I just put allow null on mine, and that took care of that problem. Okay. The other one was harder. I have this generic delegate, which is a question mark type, and I cast it to what I know it's going to be. This is safe based on what I know about my code. Okay. But the problem is that the other in here is also marked as allow null. So how did I was sitting there struggling going, how in the world am I actually going to be able to express this? Well, you can see how. Finally, I posted this internally to the Teams channel where I work, and then also on the Gitter channel for C# Lang, and this ended up being the result. Is there's really no way that you can get by with what you're trying to do other than just say for that block of code, either try to come up with a whole new design, which I didn't want to do, that would have been frustrating as hell, or just suppress it. And since I'm generating the code, all I had to do is figure out the places where I am doing this and just put this disable pragma warning thing around those portions of code, and now everything builds again. So, sorry, I had to sneeze. So, so that's how I solved it. I'm not really happy with it though. And I already put in another issue to Rocks to handle this. Okay, in the sense that something may happen in the future with .NET that may, or C# that may handle this. Don't know yet. Okay, so this is me trying to read about all these different attributes and what they mean and what was going on. Somebody alerted me to this, which is, this is in a language design meeting early this year in January, and this thing called unconstrained type parameter annotation. Okay. So you can only use T question mark when it's constrained to be a reference type or value type. On the other hand, you can only use this when T is unconstrained. The question is what to use for the following. So then they start going through cases. So the thing though is that this syntax is the maybe default semantics. So it sounds like what I would want in the future is some way here to go T question mark, do that. And then if something you're trying to pass in is truly an allow null, then my understanding is this would pass. Okay, so I would just have to make sure that I'm omitting the right thing. Then I could get rid of these in my code, and Bob's your uncle, Alice is your aunt, and all that other good stuff. Okay, so so that solved it. Wasn't really happy with how it solved it, but it solved it. So what I'm going to do now is let's close this. Say no. Okay, and these are all my notes about what I need to do, adding tests, all that stuff. So let's go back into here and change it to release. Okay. Close that out. Do a build. And run all tests. And then if this works, I'm going to cut the video and post this to NuGet and have the 4.1.1 release out there with this little bug fix. And this is kind of why I went back to this project, because I'm like, every time the code analysis assemblies and the .NET BCL stuff gets updated, they're adding more and more annotations all the time. I would imagine over this year, up until .NET 5 is released, there's going to be even more and more of that coming up. So just have to be vigilant in terms of what problems may occur and then address them. Okay, so now if I come here and I go to code projects, rocks, there should be in bin release a 4.1.1 package. So I will be back after I post this. All right, I am back, and as you can see, it's validating the 4.1 package. I don't get a lot of downloads on this package, only approximately 30,000 in its entire history of a project that's been out there for 5 years. So yeah, but like, as I've probably said before, doing these kinds of projects is very beneficial to me because I learn a lot of things that I can use then on other projects. So excuse me. So this one is now solved, at least for now. As you can see here, I have another issue that at some point in the future, if they do this unconstrained type parameter annotation, I will add that, but that's down the road. I have no idea when that would happen. So actually, let's go look at 4.1.1. No, don't. No, I'm an idiot. Yes, don't put that in. Clear the milestone. what I actually want to do is go to them. I don't know why, but I have a whale of a time like trying to figure out where the milestones are. Yeah, there they are. You have to click on issues to get to milestones. I don't know why. So I'm going to close 411 because we only need 420. That 420 2020 just happened, and it's funny because my sons understand what 420 stands for. I have never partaken. Never partaken. Nothing against people at all whatsoever who do. Just never come up. Never been a thing. So to each their own. That's the way I look at it. Have fun. All right. So what can I work on next? I think there's one thing I want to just show quick, and then I want to move to Spackle. Maybe. It's not Spackle. It's Stub Sharp. So one thing I was thinking of, and I don't want to solve it right now, but is multiple defers. So what happens if you'd have this? In other words, if I say defer print, let me just actually do this in an interpreter because I'm kind of curious what would happen. How does it handle it? And what is the right way to handle it? If I know, whenever. I don't think it ever says. Like defer just says the statement is deferred, i.e. the remainder of the statement is not executed and the line number of the defer statement remains on the to-do list. If the argument is false, the statement is executed and the line is removed from the to-do list as normal. But it doesn't really explain. Like defer here, the only thing that happens after is a print. Okay. A defer here, you'll notice you can have a number of things here. Okay. But what happens if you would want to do something like that? Okay. So let me run this. Oh, it just never. Wow, that's actually interesting. Why would that happen? Whoa. I might actually have a bug in my code. Yeah, then it's fine. But if you say reset and put all that in there, and I don't think putting that in there matters. Yep, and it just spins off into infinity. I can't even get to the top of it. So I have a bug. So I'm going to put this in here. It was actually good that I did this. Actually, if I run that code sample, the evaluator just keeps printing first OK endlessly. Yeah, I think, let me try something here. If I come in here and say, if this is greater than like 3, then it just does that. The thing that, hey, that wasn't a bug. Okay, I know why that happened. The reason why that happens is, this is the fun of the language, is because the first time it goes through, it says, well, defer it, okay? And it then says print, because you can. You only defer if that's true. In this case, I don't defer, okay? So I print that, but then I come into the second one and it says defer, and of 1 equal 1. I do have one line. So it's going to defer it, which means keep the line on the, so this actually works as expected in the sense of as soon as you get something that says to defer the line, then you should, you you should rerun the line. And so that's why it just keeps going over and over again. So I do understand that. The question I think that comes to play here, though, is based on the logic of the two defers. However, I think the real question is, should you be allowed to have more than one defer call within a line? So, because is it at least one of them causes the whole thing to be deferred? Is that okay? Is that not okay? I don't know. This never says. There's no example that says whether you can do that or not. There's no official, statement about what's saying whatever actually builds this. What it would do. I don't know. I have no clue. So this is something I'm going to have to think about. What does it really make sense to run this? To have more than one defer on a line, or if you have more than one defer, that's actually an error. You can't call defer more than once on a line. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is. That's why I'm not going to solve it right now. Okay. So, I think what I'm going to do is stop right now. I was going to potentially dive into something from Spackle. There's a couple of things I want to add to that. I think I will do that the next recording, is do some stuff in Spackle. And then I will move on to Whenever again, because I have to do more stuff there. There's always stuff to do. But I don't want to solve anything anymore, because it's only like the afternoon before dinner, and I can feel, because I got up early, that I'm going to get tired. And I think I've just had enough for the day, and I'm going to stop. So I've learned that it was funny this weekend. I'll finish on this thought. This weekend I was working on the IL emitter stuff for Dub Sharp. And I stayed up on Saturday night till like 1:30, 2 in the morning, which is very different for me. I used to do that all the time in college. And when I started getting older, I just got into this habit of I want to beat traffic. And so the best way to beat traffic is to get up earlier, because I didn't want to get up later for whatever reason and miss the whole afternoon, and then by the time the sun goes down, then I go to bed, so that ended up being a much better schedule for me. I could get up early, hit the coffee, and then wake up and move. So this week, and part of that too is just also to realize when you're stuck on something, just to walk away if you can. I know people say, but I'm on crunch time, I need to work 80 hours a week, and to me that's an issue in and of itself. Brain activity actually consumes a lot of calories, in the sense of you're thinking a lot, and that does consume energy. So sometimes it's time and time again I've learned, step away from the problem. Start explaining the problem to, talk to the bear, or whatever I think I've called it, that where you just take a stuffed animal, or you think of talking. If you can't actually talk to somebody, just talk out the problem, write out the problem. A fair amount of times I've typed something in like C# lang or whatever, and by the time I ended typing it, or as soon as I submit it, I'm like, oh, now I get it. The very act of explaining the problem gives you insight. This thing about multiple defers. I was doing my exercise. I do that right before lunch. I go through if I can, I usually do my workout routine right before lunch. And while I was doing my workout routine, my brain just started to think about defer and multiple defers, and I started going, what if, and it's an amazing thing how the brain can work and just kind of work in the background and think of things for you. And that's why I went, what would happen? So when I didn't do that Saturday night, I was trying so hard to, I ended up getting things where a big integer was coming through as looking as null, and I was getting just crazy syntax in the IL, like casting from pointer to pointer to pointer, and having that strange not skinny arrow syntax, and my methods of being marked as unsafe. I'm like, I have done something wildly wrong, and I can't figure out what it is. As soon as I got up the next morning, boom, had it. I saw immediately what the problem was, and I fixed it. It's some of the best times are where you can just step away from things and not necessarily have to crunch on it all the time. Give your brain a rest if you can. It actually helps you be more productive. If you're, at least for me, this is how it works for me. I feel like I'm more productive if I take breaks, if I walk away from things, if I'm not just constantly on some problem, because you start not seeing the solution as easy, I think. So anyway, I'm going to stop. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.